Dustin. Dustin, another fight week, but this time no salon quality hair. What happened? Why the buzz cut?
Buzzed it off, man. I don't know. It's time to change it up.
This fight's an interesting one for you, right? Because you've been fighting the top guys for a while, and now this is a guy lower in the rankings, this young prospect coming up. And you've always said, I need a guy to make me sort of fearful to get me back in that cage. Did you see this guy as someone who can do that, or was it, hey, the name came across the desk, I felt like fighting, here we are?
No, it was because he's finished his last 5 opponents. You know, he's a very dangerous guy, young, gritty, just a tough guy. And he's earned his shot to crack into the top of the division. I respect what we do, and that's just how it goes.
Yeah. When you look at things I don't know if you need any motivation necessarily, but do you look at it as like, he's a guy who called for me. He wanted to test himself against someone like me, and it's up to me to let him know that you're nearly there, but not quite yet. I'm still at the top.
Yeah, it's a challenge to myself as well. That's how I went about training camp, and part of the reason I took this fight. It's like, let me see, let me show and see to myself that I still got it to fight these warriors who bring it every time, have that never say die, never quit attitude. That's those kind of fights are what I want to be a part of.
I feel like this sort of happens to a bunch of guys every so often where they sort of say, the end is closer than the beginning is, and then suddenly everyone's saying, they're about to retire, Do you feel like already this week people are sort of looking at you like, well, if he loses this one, he might just disappear?
Yeah, big time. I've been seeing people say that a lot. And I think that's because like a week ago, I did an interview and somebody asked me, is this your last fight if it doesn't go your way? And I said, well, any fight can be my last one, win or lose. I've been doing this a long time, and I think that's where they ran off with it at. But we just got to fight, man. We just got to fight Saturday.
Yeah. The shocking one for me, I think you're plus money for this fight, which has been a while since I've seen you as the underdog, especially against a guy lower ranked. Does that surprise you? Do you feel like, classic, what have I done for this sport lately? They're looking at the last fight and just making judgments of that? Or do you think maybe people are starting to see you as potentially on the way out?
And it could be. It could be both. I lost my last one. He's on a finished streak. He's young, I'm 35. I think he's 28. Maybe that's why. I don't know. I don't make the odds or look into him that much.
Okay. We know what a win does for him. What it does to get a win over you. What does a win do for you on Saturday? Where does this put you in the division if you knock down this younger guy? Where does it put you in the title shot picture and everything like that?
I think a lot of that depends how I win. If it's a big finish or something like that, I believe I'm a win away from a title shot with a great performance. But it rights the ship. It gets me back in the win column, and we take it from there. I try not to look too far past these fights because Saturday isn't here yet. We got to go out there and do the damn thing, and then Sunday, that's when we reassess and see really where we're at and what's next.
Dustin, we're here. I can't remember if it was the countdown or an embedded or whatever, but you said something along the lines of, I remember when I wanted my shot and someone gave me a shot, and now he's looking for his shot. So I'm curious, what fight did you go through that, you felt like, this guy is giving me my shot, and then you got past it, and that catapulted you?
I think if I had to pinpoint one moment, it might have been when I fought Eddie Alvarez in Dallas. He was a former world champion. I had put a streak together. I don't remember exactly where I was, like record-wise, or my last fights before that, but that was my opportunity to fight a world champion, a guy who I grew up watching fight, in Japan, in Dream, and back when HD Nets were playing fights. Eddie's a legend, man. And to stand across from him was like, your idols become your rivals thing. It's like, wow, here we are. He gave me my shot. This legend of the sport gave me my shot. And from that, I think it was just up. Bigger fights, bigger names for me.
So do you think that he'll go through something like that standing opposite of you? Because, you are a name that he wanted to fight specifically.
Right. I don't know. I don't know what's going on between his ears, but we'll see. Everybody's different.
I'm curious, what do you make of this? Like, there's a lot of lightweight fights coming up, but it does seem like a lot of, like, you, RDA, Charles, like, you're fighting this new generation of fighters. Like, RDA's fighting your teammate Gamrot, and Charles is fighting Armin. So what do you make of this, like, kind of old guard of lightweight kind of drawing the line in the sand against these up-and-coming guys?
It's great to see, It keeps the sport moving, and that's just the way this goes. That's the nature of what we do, Father Time.
Just last one for me. Can I get your thoughts on the main event between Sean and Cheeto?
Yeah, that's an exciting fight, man. I know Sean is the favorite by the odds makers, but it's a coin toss for me, because Cheeto did beat him. I don't care what anybody says, and I'm a fan of both guys. I'm excited to watch the fight.
I actually do have one more. You fought a lot of like international opponents. Like you fought Habib, you fought Charles, and normally when you fight a guy like that's that popular from a country, like their fans can kind of, they lash out at you, not because they dislike you, but you're fighting their guy. Benoit seems incredibly popular in French. So I'm curious, how have the French fans received you and treated you since this fight was announced?
Oh man, since the fight was announced, it's like my Twitter and Instagram is like full of French fans. Like, and I understand. Root for your guy, man.
Dustin, over here. Just real quick. A few weeks ago, you kind of spooked us, saying that this bout was off, but then it was shortly, I guess, back on. Can you explain to us what happened then?
Just some miscommunication. I don't want to really get into it, but just a miscommunication. We got it all figured out.
Got it. And you mentioned if you get a big win on Saturday, you're probably one more fight away from fighting for the belt. But aside from the belt, is there any sort of side quests or any things that you like to cross off from your bucket list MMA before it's all said and done?
Side missions?
Yep.
No, the Undisputed World Championship is like the last thing I really want to do in this sport. I've done I feel like I've done a lot. Not being boastful or anything, but I've been fighting a long time. This is my 30th fight in the UFC. I've come up short. I've been victorious. It's been a long journey. I'm thankful, dude. I'm in like a place where I'm content with everything. I'm happy with who I am and the career I've had and being able to provide for my family the way I have, and just it's been beautiful, man. That's the fight journey. And what's beautiful about it to me is I've been fighting for 17 years and I've been surrounded by so many guys with the same dreams and even with the same work ethic. And they get out of this sport broken and broke, and beat up, and I'm just thankful, man.
Yeah, for sure.